Welcome to Unload and Show Clear, powered by Match Shark. Listener ready? Stand by.
Welcome to another episode of Unload and Show Clear, a podcast about the men and women who compete in IDPA matches around the world. I'm your host, Lloyd Bailey. IDPA, International Defensive Pistol Association, was formed out of the concealed carry movement in the United States back in the late 1990s, based on the founders' desire for a sport based on real-world defensive skills and not fancy equipment. IDPA matches are a series of stages that are based on realistic defensive scenarios and a test of a shooter's gun handling, accuracy, speed, and problem-solving skills. Men and women from around the world compete in IDPA every week, and here on Unload and Show Clear, we introduce you to some of those people. Everyday people. We talk one-on-one about their careers, about how they got into guns. We're interested in people and not in politics. The people who make IDPA great. They're not professional athletes. They're just everyday men and women, your neighbors, your coworkers, your public servants, your kids' teachers, the people who clean your teeth. And you're going to meet one of those great people today. And for 2020, Unload and Show Clear is powered by Match Shark. If you watch videos from the 2019 IDPA World Championship, for example, you'll see shooters who had to deal with the discomfort of shooting in sometimes heavy rain. Now, if you were at that match or with me at the 2019 Arkansas State match, you know how much fun shooting a match in the rain can be. Pasting and scoring targets is even more fun. You can't see the scoring zones, the pasters don't stick, the targets eventually disintegrate. Contrast the Arkansas State targets to the World Championship targets, and there was a huge difference, and that difference was Match Shark. Match Shark's patent-pending target shields keep targets dry even in heavy rain. They are reusable. The cost of the shields is quickly recovered by simply patching and reusing the shields over and over again. That reduces the number of times the targets have to be replaced too, and it makes your staff happier because setup and scoring and teardown are easier. It also makes the shooters happier because they can see the targets and they can easily paste them. Designed and manufactured right here in the United States, owned and operated by Will and Chris Schmid, whom you've heard here on this show, who are IDPA shooters themselves and experienced match directors. They understand the challenges that match staff face when dealing with bad weather. So let them help you run your matches faster and smarter and make it a better experience for your safety officers and your shooters. Visit matchshark.com today. Get everything you need to be prepared for your next rainy day match. Spring's coming up, and we all know what that means. Lots of rain in the forecast for your match days. Be prepared. Visit matchshark.com and find out more about their awesome products. And we are so excited that they are a part of this show this year. Our special guest today is Samuel Chambers from Chandler, Texas. Sam, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here.
Thank you, Lord. Appreciate you very much.
So for those who don't know you, tell us a little about yourself and what you do for a living there in Chandler.
I work at one of the largest Cadillac dealers in East Texas. I do parts for the body shop. And then my main job is preaching. I really enjoy that. I've pastored a couple of churches and I'm doing evangelistic work right now. And then I enjoy for relaxation is IDPA and I-Core and other shooting sports.
Nice. Born and raised in East Texas.
Yes, sir. Piney Woods.
So where did the interest in guns come from? Was that something that you were introduced to early on as a kid, or was that an interest you developed as you grew up?
Well, what actually happened was in 2015, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was a shooting somewhere. And we were just typical African-American family, and my parents was afraid of firearms, so they never allowed us to touch firearms. we used to take hair brushes and mount them around our waist to be cowboys and Indians when we was kids. And so I came to the term and realized that if I'm in a situation and somebody beside me had a firearm and got injured, what would I do? So I had no idea how to use a firearm. And so I went to Lock and Load and had some entry-level courses, and I learned. And while I was there, Mr. Steve Prater was doing some matches on Monday night on the inside range. And I thought, man, this looks interesting. And so I saw it and talked to them, got involved, and the rest is history, as they say.
Now, this is the formerly, it's not there anymore, but this was the Lock and Load range in Tyler, Texas?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are correct. Mm-hmm.
All right.
They was hosting, I think, Saturday matches, and then they was hosting Monday night matches. And I got in on one of the Monday night matches and began to come out and watch them. And so it piqued my interest. And then in the course of that, I learned the noise of firearms, how to handle firearms, and I just got really zealous about it. And so I really enjoyed it. And then I began to go to clubs and learn how to compete.
All right. Well, what do you remember? Where was your first local match? Was it there at Lock and Load? If not, where was it? And what do you remember about that first match?
It was at Lock and Load and a Monday night, and I met some great people there. And Steve had put up some great stages. And one of the main things I remember, I didn't have a clue what I was doing. But everybody was so nice. I tell you, it's one community that's really great is the shooting community. I mean, you don't have anything, folks willing to take it off their hip and help you out, pass your bullets and whatever you need. But one of the things I remember most of all was stay in your sight, stay in your sight. Well, they didn't realize I didn't have a clue what that meant. And I was shooting all over the place and not even hitting the cardboard, I don't think. But I went home, remember, they just said, stay in your sights, stay in your sights. And of course, 5 years later, I understood what that meant. And, but met some good friends there. And we built some good relationships over time. And it helped me to start a club and all that type of stuff. But it was very good, very good. So that was June in 2015. And then my next match was July 2015, I went over to Longview and met Pops Freeman and all those guys.
East Texas Rifle and Pistol Club. Good bunch of guys. Excellent. I do. Before we move on, I want to give a shout out to Steve Prater. You talked about how good the shooting community, especially in IDPA, but I want to focus for a minute on East Texas because Steve Prater did something for me probably in 2015. There was a match coming up out at Crescent, and I needed a classification for it, and I think it was that bug match that year, that Southern CCP Bug Championship that they held, and I needed a classification, and I couldn't get one at my local club, and I called up contacted Steve Prater, and he said, "You know what? We'll just move our classifier up a couple of weeks. You guys come on out." And so my son and I drove 2 hours out to Tyler and hung out and shot the classifier with the Lock and Load guys, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Really good people.
Yeah, and some great people, great match directors, range owners in this area. They're just really super. Yeah.
So how long after that before you decided to try your hand at a sanctioned match?
I didn't shoot a sanctioned match until last year, I believe. I think it was 2017 or 2018. I was just focusing on the local matches, and somebody kept telling me I need to go to a sanctioned match. What preceded that was Pops Freeman in Longview allowed me to do MD work for a while, match director work, and I drew up some stages, and they tore my head clean off. And so one of the premier couples in IDPA here, with the wife told me, so you need to go to a sanctioned match, and she was right. And I went to Robert Porter's at Silver Dollar and loved it, was hooked. And it helped me to get a mentality of what it's all about on the competition level.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very good, very good. Mm-hmm.
What was what was that day like for you? Because that's a different experience when you go from a small indoor, weekly indoor match to, Porter's Place up there in Wichita Falls or out at Crescent or somewhere like that. That's a whole different ball of wax.
Yeah, I was lost, as they say, as a Tennessee duck in Texas high grass, and that's lost. But I had fun and I enjoyed it. His range was just perfect, and it was just very good. And it was tough, and of course, I think I come in where I expected to come in last. But it was very good, and again, just met guys from other areas that was just super nice and very welcoming and free advice, and just helped me to kind of get an understanding of what it was about. So it was very good. And Robert was real super, good attitude, very easy to talk to, and just handled me with kid gloves. And so it was very good, very good.
Nice. Now you said you'd never handled or fired a handgun until 2015. You decided to take your personal protection on yourself, take responsibility for your own personal protection. What was the first gun, and how did you decide which one to choose?
Well, I should have sought advice first. First gun I bought was a Taurus 380 PT 738, and it was a horrible idea. I went back. It was a guy named, I believe, Robert Oates at Lock and Load. And after I bought the gun, I fired a few times. So, man, this hurt my hand. He said, well, normally we tell people don't buy the mouth guns to shoot competition. Get a full-size gun. So what I did was next I got a Shield, M&P9 Shield, and started out with it. And like I said, didn't know anything. So I struggled. And finally I leaned over I noticed everybody was shooting, mostly everyone was shooting Glocks. And so I got a Glock 17, and that helped me out a whole lot to get some understanding and just an excellent firearm, minimal malfunctions, good grip, good sight picture, and just a good size handgun. So that was very good. But the first gun I shot with, like I said earlier, was M&P Shield, 9mm, and didn't know. I think CCP had just come out.
Yep, 2015, I think, was the first year.
And so they told me I could fit in there. And so I went CCP, and of course, still didn't know anything, just doing whatever everybody tell me to do, just do it. I learned to be a good taper.
Right.
And the little thing that says non-threats, I learned how to hit those real good. And so that was the deal. But that's at M&P Shield, beautiful firearm, excellent service. And but I ended up with a Glock 17.
What are you shooting nowadays?
Now, this year, I'm focusing on my wheel guns. I've got a Model 10, and I just love the Model 10. And I pimped it out and bought a nickel-plated cylinder. And so I put a nickel-plated cylinder on a blue gun. And so I call it my pimp gun. And I just love it. The fixed sight seemed to help me better more than adjustable sights. And so I stayed with it, and I beat it up. I got some rounds stuck in it before on squibs, and I tried to work on it, busting the cylinder. So Steve Prater bailed me out again. And so got it working. But right now I'm focusing on Revolver. I just love the wheel guns.
Of all things, why a revolver?
Well, it goes back to 2015 when I went over to Longview in July 2015 and saw Pops Freeman. He had that big old hog leg on his thigh.
Oh.
At 686. And he had a long beard. And man, he just reminded me of old Western days. And I've always loved the Revolver, but I had a space in there that I really wanted to compete. So I was doing semi-automatic. But watch a lot of Jerry Michalak videos. I said, if he can do it, I might can do it in 100 years.
Better get started now.
Yeah, better get started now. And so, but I never could advance in IDPA because I found another gun I like, and I started fooling with it. I found nothing I like. So this year, I kind of made up my mind I'm going to stick with my revolver and try to work with it and see how well I can do.
So you mentioned, you talked about earlier, you just sort of mentioned in passing, starting a club.
Yes, sir. And I just kind of wanted a place to shoot. And my local club, Rose City Flying Clay, was a shotgun club. And the guy kept saying he had a rifle range, and I never could figure out where it was. And so one night he put me on the side by side, and we went down through the woods, down the trail, over the hill, around the mountain. And there it was. He said, "You think you can use this?" I said, "Yeah, man, I can use this." And it was just one big old rifle base. And so I started out in March of 2017, right after daylight savings time. We started a practice night, and every Thursday night, because I only had one or two people in the beginning, and it finally built up to about 5 or 6. And so we started out practicing every Thursday night, and that was very good. Guys were getting to like that, and club was growing. And then got down around September. Someone mentioned to me that being an SO, you could start a club. Well, I had no idea in the beginning, so I decided to check it out, read up on the rules and all that, and I was able to do it. And so we started a club. And one thing, we had a local club, Tyler Tactical Shooters, if I'm saying it correctly, was shooting locally. And something happened to that range, and they wasn't shooting anymore, and they moved over to another location. And so that second Saturday became free. And so after I got it authorized and paid the fees and everything, got the name for the club, Rose City IDPA, we began hosting matches. So September of 2017, we got the club authorized and got a name and approved. And then October 2017, we had our first match. And it was a beautiful day, and we had 7 shooters. And so it was very good. We shot the rest of the year, and beginning of the next year in 2018, then I had this wild, crazy idea. Why not do a sanctions match? And I never forget the look. I was at Dairy Queen, and I never forget to look at Ben Petty and Scott Blank's face. And I knew they were talking about me after I left in a nice way, but he's crazy. And I said, we can do it, guys. We can do it. And so I went home and pondered and kicked it around trying to figure it out. And so we came up with a great plan to do it over 3 days. And you got to have a minimum, I think, of be able to host a minimum of 80 shooters, I believe. And so if I did 2 squads a day, we could accommodate that. And so I want to pause and give a great big shout out to Ben Petty, because his knowledge, his experience, his expertise, and his computer background and knowledge was just phenomenal. It never would have happened without Ben Petty going alongside of me and giving me directions. And he was right most of the time, and I was wrong most of the time because he knew the rules, and he was I think a double master shooter. Now he's a triple master shooter, and so he was just great shout out. And Mark Thompson and just all the other guys that come alongside the SOs volunteered, the helpers said they want to be a part of it. And so I was just so grateful that we was able to build up to where we could do a sanctioned match.
You're not even a year out from officially starting the club. Your first match, you've got 7 people. At the point at which you were at Dairy Queen suggesting that you should do a sanctioned match, how many shooters were you having show up at your matches regularly?
Approximately 10 to 15.
Okay, so I can see why Ben would look at you crazy.
Yeah, 10 to 15. But I was shocked because I just had started out 2015 with firearms, but we had some great people. We have some great shooters, excellent shooters, and I kept noticing, why are my guys driving all these distances to shoot when there's super shooters here locally? I mean, we've got multiple master shooters, some double, some triple, and some even higher than that I don't know about. And so my dream was to just try to do something here locally. And I was just really blessed about how many come on board and participate and want to be a part of it. So I'm just humbled by the local people that didn't really know me, just took an idea and made it what it was. And everyone chipped in advice and physical labor. It was just super, just a community effort. Not to get too spiritual, but what God gives vision, he gives provision. And a lot of the shooters I didn't really know, and the helpers I didn't really know, I knew of them. And I mean, they just came along and just made it super top notch for a tier 2 match. And so it was really great.
Well, let's talk about the first Rose City. First off, you talked about, and I've been here, I've been there. You have this one gigantic rifle range. When you saw when you were thinking, let's do matches, how did you foresee using that efficiently to run multiple stages?
Literally, I had no idea, and this is God honest truth. I went home and toiled. I prayed a couple nights about it, and the Holy Spirit gave me the answer. And I come back and said do reverse stages, and I come and did reverse stages, and then when we got down to the sanction match, I called Brian Erler. He said, "Yeah, reverse stages will work great," and so that has been the secret of mine. Starting out is reverse stages. Change the start position, move a few targets around, change the walls, and minimal work, and that has been the deal. But it just come out over time because I was concerned with how we're going to shoot into the berms for safety and stuff like that. And no shooter complained, no shooter had any problems with it. They seemed to love it.
Yep.
And the advantage of Rose City is you start at the far east end and you work your way back to your car. And that's the concept. And so as you finish one stage, you go to another stage, but it's getting you closer and closer to your car, which is on the west end.
Right.
And that's doing very well. But that's how it formulated.
Talk a little bit about the Rose City Championship because I thought what you guys did with that space was really rather ingenious. With this gigantic rifle range, you set up, was it 9?
You have to have a minimum of 8. You have to have a minimum of 8 stages.
And we started you had one squad at a time. So there was no chance of having anybody, downrange of anyone who was shooting.
That's right.
You start at all the way at the far berm, and each stage you just work your way back. And and how did now that's very different from running reverse stages. Where did you come up with the idea to do that as a way to maximize your space, move things efficiently, because it moved really fast? So how did you come up with that idea?
Well, the main praise for that is Mr. Ben Petty. He is, and I tell him all the time, he is a genius mentally. He's phenomenal. And so I drew up some stages, and we actually came out to Saturday a week or two before and tried to set them up. Could not get them set up right for safety. And I left, and Ben stayed there, and man, he sorted it all out. And so all the props goes to him as far as the mechanics and the mental challenge of trying to keep it safe into the burn. And so he revised, kept the concepts that I had on some of the stages and revised them. And it came out super. I mean, it was super. I was just floored when I drove back over there the next day and really congratulate him on how well he performed that and got those stages sorted out. And so we walked through them and tested them and practiced them a few times, and they worked out really well, very challenging. Had a mixture of high round count, mid-range round count, fast gunner stages, challenging stages, stages where you had to think about. And of course, my favorite stage was junk in the trunk. Yeah, so I laughed so hard when we had that with junk in the trunk. So
this was the car stage at the very last stage of the match.
Yes, sir.
And where did you come up with junk in the trunk, and what was the concept behind it, and who risked sacrificing their car for that?
Well, I had a neighbor that had this car, and I called the car Caleb's car. I was going to give it to him for graduation, but I think his dad bought him another car. And so that's the joke with the car. But we had some unloaded starts. And like I say, I had drew up some stages, but being adjusted them and put some names on there. And I mean, when he showed me that stage and the name, I laughed and laughed and laughed. I thought, this is going to be great. This is going to be super. And the idea of doing 15 at a time, that get us to our 80 and doing 2 a day. And Mr. Petty calculated the sunrise and the time it would take. Like I say, I had no sanction match experience. So I figured up, and he looked at me like I was crazy, which he was right. I looked it up, oh man, we could do this in 2 hours. He said, no way, slow down, figure it out. And so he figured it out with 4 or 5 hours in between. And man, it timed out right. He was really, really super. So great props to him for his help and his ingenuity and brilliance in helping us bring it out. It just goes back, like I said in the beginning, when God gives you vision, he gives you provision. So everybody else had how to make it happen. I just had the desire to make it happen.
Right.
And so,
and so you broke it out over 3 days with one squad in the morning, one squad in the afternoon. You ended up with, how many shooters did you end up with?
I ended up with the first year. I think some of them got sick or somebody didn't show, and I think it went down to like 76, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
76 or 77. So it was not bad, but we had, I think the 80 signed up, but some just couldn't make it.
Right.
And so life happens, and I understand.
Yep, but
vacation times and hurricanes happen, and so people had to switch their vacation.
It's a testament, though, to how well it went and getting the word out. Apparently, doing a good job getting the word out that you managed to get that many shooters out in July in Texas.
In July, yeah. That's something else I take a meeting over. Why in July? But it's to test your fortitude and your stamina. See if you can take it.
You got me to do something I swore I would never do in my life, and that was shoot a match in July. And I drove to Tyler to do it.
That's funny. Yeah. One year we had a guy that stopped at a gas station and got, I think, a taco burrito at one of them gas stations. That was not a good idea.
Very bad idea.
It was painful.
Oh.
Yeah, it was painful. But we're conscious with fruit cups. We're conscious with plenty of water. Ben had a great idea. We hooked up fans last year, and so Ben came up with another great idea to have half the people half the people tape one stage and the other half tape the other stages. So the comments was really great. People love that idea. So everybody, all 15 shooters didn't have to get up at one time. You know, it's not 15 targets, so everybody don't get to tape a target.
Right.
And so they was able to rest and recuperate under the fans and stay cool and calm. And then when their turn come, they tape, and then the other ones arrested. So it worked out really well. So Ben is the brains behind it. It's very good. Him and Caleb are just excellent together. Yeah, very excellent.
And that's, for everyone who doesn't know, that's his son, Caleb Petty, as well.
Yeah.
Who is an excellent young shooter.
Yeah.
So what you're working on your Revolver this year, like getting back to your shooting career. What is what's your goal for this year in terms of if you're going to stick with Revolver all year? God bless you. Yeah. What's the goal come the end of 2020?
Maybe I can win a trophy with the Revolver, but honestly, I've gone back to the basics of IDPA, of self-defense, and I'm doing a lot with snub noses, so I'm really focusing on self-defense. I classify it as a marksman, and I'm satisfied with that. But one thing, my main goal this year with the Revolver is to get faster trigger speed. I'm trying to focus and figure out how to do that. Watching Jerry doesn't translate to me doing it. I just watch it. But if I get up to sharpshooter, that's great. But as I said earlier, my focus this year, because of so many shootings, so many instances of self-defense, I'm slacking back and really focusing on self-defense with a revolver is what I am. Because my LTC, well, my everyday carry is a revolver. I carry a revolver for self-defense. Mm-hmm.
I almost forgot to ask you about this. You have an identical twin, and you guys have shown up at matches together. Does you tell us about your brother? Does he is he involved in IDPA as well?
He's involved in IDPA, and he's a whole lot better shooter than I am. And he has a condition in one of his eyes, so he had to shoot with his left eye, and he's right-handed. But he took a training course years ago, and man, it makes me so mad. I said, I got both eyes and I can shoot and see, and he still smokes me. And he shoots a wheel gun too, shoots a GP 100. And he's very good, and when I get a chance to shoot with him, I always like shooting with him.
So that makes my next question a little harder, because or probably more obvious. If you guys always went to the same local matches, I'm guessing that you were never able to try the whole switch places kind of thing and try to convince people that you were your brother and vice versa.
No, sir. Mm-mm.
Couldn't get away with that?
Sir. Couldn't get away with it because our character and attitudes are a little different. And he's a very good shooter, though. He's a whole lot better than I am. And
Samuel Chambers, thank you so much for everything that you're doing. What you guys are doing at Rose City is fantastic. It's a great model for anybody out there who thinks, I can't start a club. Look at what Rose City has done. They've done a terrific job and have put on 2 years of terrific matches, and you've got another one coming up this year. Looking forward to that, and thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show. It's been a great. I've really enjoyed getting to know you a little bit, and I know our audience has as well.
Thank you so much, Laura. You always be blessed in what you do. Appreciate it very much.
All right, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for your support. Thank you to our guest for coming on the show. And thank you to our awesome sponsor, Match Shark, for making this entire season possible. If you would, please take a minute to check out our website, unloadpodcast.com. Lots of cool previous episodes are there, links to all sorts of great information. Just check out the guest list as well. Join the Facebook group, too, if you want to connect with other fans and get updates on the latest news. You can find that at unloadpodcast.com/Facebook. Check out our YouTube channel. We've got a lot of cool videos there at unloadpodcast.com/YouTube. And if you'd like to support the show personally, consider becoming a patron, just $1 a month at patreon.com/unload. And for your support, I'll send you out a sticker and you'll have my undying gratitude for your help. If you or someone you know would make an interesting guest for a future episode, you can contact me at unloadpodcast.com. Just go to the contact button in the menu at the top of the page and send me a message. Or you can send me an email at Lloyd, LLOYD, at unloadpodcast.com. Tune in again next Thursday for another episode of Unload and Show Clear, powered by Match Shark. We are a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. Be sure to check out all of the other pro-freedom podcasts at selfdefenseradio.net.